Hey guys, thank you so much for all of the support and sharing the podcast and subscribing. If you haven't subscribed already, please, what are you doing? Subscribe. This helps me out so much so I can continue this. And I really do want to continue the podcast. I think it's so much fun. I get to have these awesome conversations with people who I feel like are like way out of my league. But if you have not followed me on social media already, it's at Jeff Gruby on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. Go ahead and share with me your maybe your favorite podcast episode. That'd be a really awesome thing. And I think you're really going to love today's guests. All right. Take care, guys, and take care of yourself. It's about growing as a person. Your best is completely unique to you. Hey everyone, welcome to episode 25 of Fuck Perfect. I am so honored to have Tori Washington on my podcast. He is first off, vegan, NASM certified, pro bodybuilder, first place at Muscle Mania, right, in 2013, and a trainer on the Center, or C. It's called Center, but people don't often spell it CENTR.
Right.
On the Center app. Thank you so much for hopping on the podcast, Tori.
No, thank you for having me. I appreciate it. So it's not too often. It's kind of like one of those things to just being grateful to have someone look at your journey as something to be shared. So I appreciate that.
Oh, definitely. You're welcome. Thank you. And the one thing I discovered, kind of prepping for this podcast, I had no idea, and it makes sense with your kind of story, is that you start out as a mechanical engineer, right? That was the degree you got.
Yes.
And I thought that was so relative to engineering your body, engineering your nutrition, and almost engineering your life, right?
Yeah. I mean, if you think about it, when I picked that up as a career of choice, it was actually something that I decided in the last minute, because being in college, I had no idea what I actually wanted to do. I think a lot of people go to college and they have an idea, and then some of us go there just to figure it out. And that was me. I went there to figure out what did I want to do. And after being undecided for about a semester, I think the second semester, which was the spring semester, I decided, okay, I'm going to do engineering. And I only did that because I looked at what I enjoyed. And one of the things I enjoyed was taking things apart, finding out how it worked, and then putting it back together and hoping that it operated the same as it did when I took it apart. And so, lo and behold, I became an engineer, and then I took on that career path of choice to do that. So yeah, and it was interesting because now I utilize that same technical background and expertise and how I proceed with individuals when it comes to designing their physique in the way that they want it to look. I almost re-engineer it to put it plain and simple, to give them the type of physique they want.
That's an awesome way to an awesome perspective to spin on, to put on that. That's incredible. And I think, even as a kid, I'm not sure if you were similar. I would actually, because I was just at home all the time in the summers. My mom was working and all the time, and basically I would take things apart, but then have the pressure of putting them back together and make sure they were working before she got home, or else it was going to be like a big problem.
Right. No, that's different.
But that's really, really, really cool. And so to kind of touch on that, to give people an idea of your story, of it, maybe a cherry pick version, or just slight. It could be back from childhood or whatever you want. Maybe what led you. What do you think kind of shaped you into liking taking things apart and fixing them, and how does that? I know you said it applies now to your clients, but and maybe tell what you do now.
Well, it's kind of ironic. this question arises because I was just talking to someone not too long ago when I was stating that 6 years now I took the leap per se to leave that side of my journey, which is being an engineer in the normal sense of the word. When I say that, an engineer in the normal sense of the word, you're at a corporate job or you're a PE, professional engineer, you have a business per se where you're doing that type of work. What I was doing mechanical engineering as a manufacturing engineer from a quality standpoint, and prior to that, as a project engineer with a smaller company. So I left a larger corporation to proceed into the area of fitness. And that came about because my passion had always been in the fitness. I had been involved with fitness from about 9 years old and always intrigued by the physique because I wanted to look like a superhero. My point, what I'm getting to is I took that idea of leaving corporate America. At the time, people were, my coworkers didn't understand and didn't think it was a good choice. Of course, you have people that are in your family, like, what are you doing? You're leaving a 401k, you're leaving job security.
Mhm.
To fast forward to now, that job right now, everybody's home.
Yeah.
They're not because the automotive industry, no one's looking to buy a car right now. You know, production has taken a halt. And what I'm doing right now, if you think about it, a lot more people are now figuring out, well, I need to maintain my overall wellness. I need to be moving my body. I need to learn how to eat better, and I need to take rest and take my overall wellness health into more of a consideration
Mhm.
and more of a priority than it is to think about buying a vehicle. So that choice 6 years ago, fast forward to now, was a pretty pivotal choice based on our current situation.
Absolutely. And I think, you know, man, I've had a lot of talks about this, but even with so much uncertainty, because I'm not an expert in any way or shape or form, with all the uncertainty around the virus going on now, the only thing that seems to be a factor that they are aware of, would I would say, is immune system, and would be your wellness, right? Because there's obviously um, older people have a higher risk than kids, and there's age as a factor of wellness, and indoors as a factor of wellness.
Right.
What we're putting in our bodies, whether it be uh, a lot of medication or just bad food in general, all kind of factors into the overall wellness, right? And I think that's definitely a critical part. And I think some people can either double down on the the lack of wellness, yeah, in terms of like stocking up on uh, lots of bad food. And I think people call it the or I don't want to say what they call it, but I'll change the name. A lockdown 15, which is
Right.
like a freshman 15. uh, and I think some people also might be kind of waking up to, hey, maybe I should be taking a look at my wellness, my health, uh, and what that means.
Right.
I think that's cool because a lot of, and as you know, you're in the business. A lot of people associate fitness or just weight and wellness and looking good to only exercising.
Right.
And you and I both know that that's like it's important, but it's not as big as everything else,
Correct. Correct.
right? And you could be in the corporate industry still, right? Like you said, but at the same time, I thought, man, he probably would not be happy, and that would be worse for your overall wellness than what you do now, right?
Yes. You get to that point where you wake up and you don't want to go there.
Yeah.
That's when you know, okay, it's time to make a change. Because I was also under the understanding or the overstanding that why would I complain about something if I made the choice to be there?
Mhm.
And a lot of individuals would complain daily but still didn't make the decision to change their circumstance. And
Hmm.
so I decided, you know what, no complaints, do this for a certain amount of time, and then make a change. And I made that change. And so same goes even with when you make a change or something. If it turns out that it doesn't own up to what you expected it to be, you either change your outcome, change your reaction, or change the current projection and
Hmm.
take a shift to somewhere else. So it's been one that I've readily accepted, and I'm so far enjoying it. And to see it pan out to what it has been, it was something I didn't expect, because you don't know exactly until you actually take that leap, because it's gonna hurt. You're gonna scrape
Yeah.
your shin, scrape your shoulder, bump your head, and you're like, "Oh, this hurts. I got to try. Am I gonna keep going?" You just got to keep moving forward.
Yeah. When I was teaching, I left, and I was moved. Just kind of, I felt I was getting like I was stuck, and I felt like it wasn't getting my life wasn't changing any for the better. And like, yeah, I love doing it, but and when I was moving to Texas, people were like, oh my god, they acted like I had some sort of fatal disease. They're like, I'm so sorry. And I'm like, no, 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 this is fine. Like I'm just changing up my state. Like literally, I'm changing my
Right,
state.
right,
Uh,
right,
and to see how this whole thing pans out, and it's been the best thing just to change up everything, and I just kind of doubled down on the health and happiness part. Like I really like that. I didn't even know that's what I wanted, to be honest, Tori. Like I just kept going down this route, and like I'm gonna help people just lose weight, and then it just
right.
kind of grew and grew, and now I'm the opposite. I actually don't I actually don't help people if they want to lose weight. I it has to be a bigger reason for me.
Mm,
It's just I have more leverage to get them
right,
to help.
right.
But a question I had was, other than health and fitness, because that's so easy to talk about right now. Other than health and fitness, has there been a point in your life where you sought perfection, or even if it was like 100% of your expectation, meaning perfection? And how did you change that? And like, how did that get better for you?
I think when it comes to competition,
Hmm.
bodybuilding competition, because at one point, you mentioned muscle mania. Muscle mania was like one of the first goals, because prior to muscle mania, I had so many other pro cards, and then muscle mania was that next one that was kind of elusive, because it was seemingly difficult, because there was only a specific type of persona or type of individual that actually achieved that stature. And I had missed it twice, 2011 and 2012. 2011, I got third place, and you know, I wasn't perfect. I remember looking at the pictures, and people were telling me from the audience, "Man, you should have won." Even the second place guy was like, "I think you should have won that," but it's political. So then I did the second time, and then the second time around, thought I was perfect until I had to do my routine. I think I didn't recognize the aspect of entertainment, because I was all about showing the body in the way that it needed to be shown, and but I didn't give enough, because based on what I had achieved physically, people were said hands down he won, because he what he achieved, and then they found out I didn't have any animal protein in order to achieve that look. They were dumbfounded. I ended up getting second, and even the first place guy couldn't believe it. But it was all because my routine was cut short of the requirement. The requirement was for 90 minutes, 90 seconds, and I had done 60. I had been so used to doing 60 seconds that 90 seconds was kind of too long,
Hmm.
because I had prepared myself for that. So as you mentioned, perfection, I said, okay, I got to do it again. 2013 came, and that year I was on a streak. I won every show I did. I did like 7 shows, and Musclemania was one of them. And from what I remember, everybody said, "Yeah, you got it." And I won. I won that show. Then I went on. Then I was done with that type of show. I wanted to go bigger, and that's here and where now I'm an IFBB pro because I had always wanted to achieve that Arnold Schwarzenegger professional status.
Hmm.
And Arnold Schwarzenegger was an IFBB pro because he did IFBB pro bodybuilding. But you know, I wanted to be so perfect, but then I had a coach tell me it's not about being the biggest guy up there. It's about having the most complete package. And that's when I realized it's not about having the perfect shoulders or the perfect chest or the perfect abs or the perfect quads or the perfect glutes. It's about bringing it all together in a complete package that fits your structure. And
Hmm.
it was less about perfection and more about consistent, continuous improvement.
That that's awesome. I love that story. Um, wow, and I didn't realize you won every single competition too that
Yeah.
year,
Yeah.
right? And so many people to kind of to jump off that, so many people do focus on like what's the perfect like diet, right? Or they just focus on what's the perfect workout or what's the perfect whatever, and they focus on such individual like just one aspect when it's like no, the whole thing. It's like um HRV. HRV's kind of new to me. I've known about it for like 6 months, like the heart rate variability, where it measures obviously the food you eat, your exercise intensity, um, your emotions, your stress, your gratitude, like just the whole thing. I'm like, that's awesome. Like, just kind of focusing on all of that. Or, people like when I work with people now, I actually will have them start by let's just start by drinking. Let's talk for a bit. But for now, I just want you drinking water and walking and sleeping. If we can kind of get that, then maybe we'll kind of go on. But just walking, like even so many people don't walk. Walking is, as you know, just amazing. And obviously, our
Right.
bodies are designed to do it. And meanwhile, everyone's sitting in a damn chair all the time.
Hmm.
Chairs are terrible.
Hmm. Hmm.
So when you say so, you went vegan in 1998, right? 1998, and you already were vegetarian basically your whole life.
So I say vegan because that was the terminology,
Hmm.
but at the time I had no idea what vegan was. And even to this day, I'm not really a big proponent of labels and
Hmm.
seem to live in a society where you got to box people in so we can group them a specific label so that we can then create this definition of who this person is based on certain criteria and characteristics that they depict. So I was born and raised vegetarian because my mother was Seventh Day Adventist, and Seventh Day Adventists live by a health message as part of their ways of living. And the health message was to eat of the land, use the nutrition from the earth that God provided. And so this is how our mother raised us. And she wasn't always Seventh Day Adventist, but once she had us, she started going that way because before she was raised Catholic. So during that time, for the first 9 years of my life, it was all vegetarian. I knew nothing else. So living, we were then we were transplanted to Jamaica with our grandparents because my mother was a single mom and she needed some time in order to get things together financially to better take care of us. And so her parents stepped in and said, "Hey, we'll take care of your kids for some years or for an indefinite amount of time until you get yourself together." And during that timing, my grandparents had no idea what vegetarian was. In Jamaica, you ate pretty much everything. They made use of it all because, you know, when you go back to slavery, slaves were given basically the scraps and whatever they could in order to survive. So they pretty much used every single part of animals. The only thing my mother stressed to her parents were don't give them any type of pig. And so I had never had pig in my life. So it was that time being, it was about 3 years, and moving back into the United States, living in South Florida, still having that mindset. It's not until as I got a little bit into high school, I started to realize more about different lifestyles, and Rastafari stuck out to me. And I started growing my locks, reading
Mm,
more about the culture, understanding it. Then I understood the eating lifestyle, and the eating lifestyle was more natural, which I taught. And they took a lot of similar beliefs to Seventh Adventists about eating from the earth. And I recognized that I had a big thing about integrity. I didn't want to say I was something and not actually be of that. So I decided to say, you know what, if that's a true Rasta is, then I need to do that, even if my friends weren't.
mhm.
Because a lot of people say I'm Rasta, but still eat fish, still eat chicken. And I was thinking that's not really of the land. So I decided to, or from the earth. So I decided to make that shift, that I'm not going to eat anything like that, because all I knew, I taught. I didn't know what vegan was until later on. People would ask me questions about how I eat and what I eat, and I said that, and they would then say, "Oh, you're vegan," and I think I just accepted it. Didn't know what it
Mm,
was. Didn't know what it actually meant. I thought it was just someone who didn't eat animals, not recognizing that there was a lot more to being vegan than just not eating animals. Because I was still wearing leather, and that didn't bother me. I didn't really know much about animal agriculture. And in Jamaica, animals like dogs and cats were not in the home. They were on the outside, living outside, and you just take care of your dogs that way. Dogs didn't come inside to the house and sleep in your bed, so I wasn't used to that. And it's not until as I learned more about animal agriculture, slave labor when it came to animals, because they were property just as slaves were treated. And
mhm.
sometimes slaves were treated worse. They were fed worse than what the dogs were given. And then I started to understand it more. And even to this day, I'm not looking for people to go vegan. I'm looking for the word vegan to disappear, and that's just the way people live. That's just the way it is. Where people are back to eating from the land, and it just becomes a normality, a sort of a normal way of living, and it's not a term. So right now we're living in a day where you have a different term. I'm a raw vegan. I'm a alkaline vegan. I'm a junk food vegan. I only juice. You have all these different terms and different definitions behind the terminology vegan. And when you hear from each other, this person is right. And so I look at that as
Right.
another form of religious belief where 4,200 religions, maybe more, but each one of them is right and
Wow.
the other wrong.
That's exactly what I think. What I believe is like I've I shied away from r- the labels of religion because I hated divisiveness. I hated being like they think you can be prejudged basically because they have a label for you, right? They're like, oh, you're this group. I'm like, no, I'm this person, right? Um, and so I started by like not liking the labels of religion, even if I do believe. I just think that they all can be right. They all don't have to be wrong. I feel like obviously with veganism, I first when I was starting to go down that path in college in 2003, I kind of jumped on board, knew the term, and then I got a lot of backlash. So I was like, maybe I don't want this term, right?
Right.
Uh, So I started telling people back in when I kind of so I went off from being vegan, and then when I was I think 2008, 2000 no 2009, I started saying I eat fruits and vegetables as opposed to anything else, and that's what I said, and it seemed to be okay with a lot of people that way, right?
Right.
Um, but whenever you give them people like a reason to label, they're like, oh no, then they just kind of dismiss it or they lump you in and all these other things that they associate. And I like what you said, how eventually people are going to have to maybe this will be the new norm. And obviously, there's a lot of science that says that the planet needs to kind of go that direction. Even right now with the current situation
Right.
in terms of meat not being available, I was like, hey, maybe this is good. And it was really funny. When I was first going grocery shopping here in Austin, when before even lockdowns happened, and people were panicking,
Yes.
everyone bought dried beans. Everyone. I'm like, whoa, there's no way these people people are gonna either gonna know how to cook them or they're probably gonna sit in there on the shelf or the cabinet. I want to buy these beans back when this is over because I need those beans. uh, but yeah, everyone's kind of gonna have to find some other way to deal with it. And in a lot of places in the groups that I'm in that are like plant based or um, so be it, they will say that they have plenty of food, but in my area, there's not. Like
Right. Sorry about that.
a lot of Austin people are like a lot more plant based and like, oh my god, I'm missing out on all this food. I've been able to get some now. Been able to get some now and kind of stock up on. I got a lot of dried mango from from the
Nice.
store. Uh,
That's good stuff right there.
I love, and the thing, and maybe you can touch on this. When I first started eating this way, the biggest my biggest obstacle was not knowing how food goes together. Really, not known. I knew nothing of how like nothing of flavors or spices or seasoning or things going. So when I first went like down this path, I was eating this the way that I ate omnivorous diet, which was like plain plain chicken, plain broccoli. And so when I switched over, I'm like, this is terrible. You know, um, it's like it makes you kind of have to learn how to cook. Like, and I actually think so. I want to know what your thoughts about like transitioning to that lifestyle for you. But I also think the gateway to plant-based vegan is like food porn. It's like if you can't make the food look good, people are just not even gonna remotely try it. So, what are your thoughts on
Uh,
that?
that's unfortunately that's true because if it doesn't look, because face it, man, we live in a life in a world where we have microwave a
Mm,
microwave society. What I mean is they want instant gratification. They want it done now. They want it done right. They want it to look like what they're used to. They want it to taste the way that they're used to,
with no effort.
and with no effort. And they want it to, if it's not familiar to what they have been accustomed to, then I don't want it. And that's the majority of the population. Not to say that's everybody. There are
Mm,
some who can just flip the switch and make that shift. And hey, it's about performance or it's about the longevity and quality of life. Oh, I'm doing it. But if it's, oh man, that doesn't taste what I'm used to, so nah, I'm good. So the transition and you know I remember one of my colleagues would say, people have private Instagram pages or what have you, private social media, but um uh they may make an amazing, I don't know, raw lasagna or whatever it may be that may taste s- so delicious, but no one knows about it because they're on private. And let's say they put theirs on public, put it on there, and then people look at it like, man, that looks good. And they attempt that same recipe and they're like, man, that was really good. That alone may cause that person to make a shift because there's sometimes individuals with a platform not as large as mine or others that may have more influence because they seem more touchable and more believable. You know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
If that individual who's may look at me and be like, oh, he's not real. He takes drugs. He probably has someone cooking for him all the time. He's blah blah blah. You know, whereas
Oh,
someone
there's
who
always some excuse.
correct, whereas someone who doesn't have that smoke and mirrors type of effect, they may more so check their information out and make that shift, make that switch to on however way they want to do it. So yes, you're right. The food porn is truly a thing. I guess that's why they have a hashtag for
Yeah. Yeah. When I before so to touch on that, before I had kids, people were like, "Man, you're able to be in shape because you don't have kids. You
it.
don't know." And
Yeah,
then as soon as I had kids, different people would tell me, "Oh man, you have it so easy. You have a motivation now." And I'm like, "What?"
right.
Like
Which one is
both
it?
sides. Which one? Like what? Why is it? And it's like, why is it that I have what I have? It's like, well, it's important to me. It's consistent. Uh, and I'll tell people I don't want anyone, like you said earlier. I love that. I don't actually try to convince anyone to eat like I do. I just say, hey, let's follow like your happiness and your health, and let's be consistent about it and see where it leads. I will not help anyone with obviously carnivore diet. I think that's very unsafe and stupid. So I do have that exception. But but yeah, I think adding people can't people don't disagree. Vegetables are healthy. So
Right,
just
right.
kind of
That's true.
I just keep emphasizing that with people. But yeah, it's just people have so many reasons like, oh, I can't do that or I can't do this, and I'm sure you get it all the time. Like people say, oh, bet you eat zero carbs. Like, nope, I eat so many carbs,
I
ridiculous
I
amounts.
I just eat so many, and I did see a difference once I looked at it from a standpoint of understanding that when you go into a caloric deficit, the
Hmm.
body reaches for energy from us from carbohydrates first, and then fats and protein. And when it doesn't, when it's not getting it from the carbs, it starts to take away from your muscle size. And what I mean by that is, I notice a difference when I change my intake of protein to a higher amount, but I'm still eating carbs. I notice a difference in my fullness, meaning I maintain more muscle mass because of the caloric deficit for over source for such a certain period of time.
Hmm.
I was able to keep more muscle on me because I wasn't wasting away. Because the protein intake also has a thermic effect of kind of similar to an engine's horsepower from the engine to the wheels is very different. So it goes in, but actually once you get to the bare bones of it, you didn't actually get it all because of the whole process of getting it into the muscle.
Hmm.
So it's the same thing, 420 horsepower from the engine, but then you put it to the wheels, you about at 370 or 350. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
So understanding that concept, but I never stopped eating carbs. Carbs are always
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And I think I've even upped my tofu game. I for years. I mean, I was kind of afraid of it because I wasn't sure where the science was, but actually after kind of doubling down on this way of eating for myself, I was like, okay, I got to really figure this one out. So
there.
obviously, it's fine. It's fine. I was just kind of always scared of it because of what the what is it called? I don't know, the hype or the fake stuff that's written about it, like
You
where
know,
the
it's so
funding is.
it's interesting you say that because I never really had all that type of issue. It's not until within the last 3, 4 years I started to hear that. I was like, what? I've been eating that stuff forever. And then, but I also was not into reading everything, and that not reading everything, but reading those things because to me, I just did what I did. And
Hmm.
when I say it to people like, oh man, I've been eating it forever. And they're like, really? But what about blah, blah,
Yeah.
blah? Do I look like I'm growing boobs? Or do I sound more, whatever?
Yeah.
And I know. And I'm like, well, and of course, we all have a different makeup. We're all unique in our
Hmm.
design and certain things. Some people will have an aversion to wheat or gluten, whereas others it'll be fine. So I do understand that, and also when it comes to, we have been living in such a quote unquote almost sterile, even more now, sterile environment where we haven't given our body good bacteria. We're taking away all the good bacteria, so our body doesn't
Hmm.
absorb through our intestines the nutrients that we need because we've destroyed it all. And when we look at the reabsorption or the adsorption rate within our lower intestines, small intestine, you can see where that's where a lot of problems start. And but because we don't think that in depth sometimes,
Hmm.
we focus on these quote unquote symptoms of ingesting too much estrogen. But when it's not the same estrogen as you're getting from that glass of milk that you're drinking from that cow, or whatever, you know
Right.
what I mean? So, and people don't see that because marketing media has a lot of power. They can
Absolutely.
every day, 30 seconds a day, bam, 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 constantly, just
I
psychologically,
mean, honestly, just
subconsciously killing you.
people should just try it. Be like, hey, you know what? Who cares what everything says? Give it a go. See how your body reacts to it.
Yeah,
See,
exactly.
be like, holy cow, this is amazing. I remember the first time I did it, I lost like, I mean, I wasn't. And back then I was all about weight, unfortunately, but I lost like so much weight just because I was holding on to it. And I was, and food started tasting different to me, like as I was eating cleaner and less crap was going in. Like, holy cow, this is what an onion actually tastes like. And my whole life, I hated onions and beans. So I have completely flipped. I now love onions and beans. It's like it's just completely wild how um, things just taste different, taste better to me now uh, than before. Well, so what do you think? Like at for at right now, do you have any advice for people who are, say, starting to do that nutrition change, and also are people specifically that are trying to also gain muscle during life right now?
So when it's making that shift or that change, and I'm gonna take that word you threw in there that I work with clients and people to remove that from their vocabulary, the word TRY, because you don't try to do stuff, you either do it or you don't. And
Right.
so I learned from one of my mentors who said, tries to make an attempt to fail.
Hmm.
Because when people say I tried, well, I tried, that means that they didn't continue it. It's just it didn't work out the way they wanted to, and so they just stopped. And so when people are looking to make that shift, you know, it really does have to be their idea, and there has to be such a why behind that choice that it keeps them on that path until successful. So it's like focus. Whatever you focus on becomes your reality. So follow one course until successful. Focus. So if you are following this course until you're successful with it, then you can say, all right, this is what happened. I made it thus far and I'm taking the data reassessing what happened versus, oh, I tried, it didn't work for me, and I always say take your time with it because it's your journey. It's a journey that you set forth. I was just a person that may have planted the seed and here to help, but it has to be ultimately up to you. And you had a second part to that question. What was the second part?
Any advice for people that are maybe trying to gain muscle
Oh,
mass right
okay.
now
So,
during?
when it comes to gaining muscle, I mean, a lot of science has shown that, there's differing schools of thought when it comes to lifting heavy, lifting moderate, lifting light, what have you. All in all, they all build muscle, and they just build muscle in different ways, and they all have their validity. So even when it comes to this time, a lot of people are concerned about, well, I don't have the equipment I need anymore in order to build muscle. If you're consistent and you're continually maybe changing things up with what you have, you
Mhm.
will build muscle because before there were weights, people were outside doing stuff, chopping wood, doing different things, pulling themselves up in trees. And, if you go to different groups within the continent of, I say Africa because I know that's not exactly what Africa is, but the continent, you look at people of indigenous of that surroundings, there are people that look like they're in amazing shape, but they don't have a
Mhm.
single piece of iron or universal equipment
Yeah.
anywhere near them, but they have abdominals and shoulders and biceps and triceps, but they're not all about showing it, but that's what ends up happening just from them being active daily and challenging and pushing themselves unconscious to the aspect of building muscle
Hmm.
and are building muscle. You know what I mean? So you can build muscle with what you have. You just have to have the desire to do it. If you get what
Right.
I mean. When you have that desire, it's like that focus. If you focus on wanting to have a specific look and continuously work towards that, not just sit there. Of course, you can't just sit there and like, I'm gonna sit in this couch and it's gonna happen. You have to put forth the effort, and then you'll create it, but you'll create it in your time. That's another thing. A lot of people are microwave society driven that they don't want the time. They don't want to put in the time. They don't want to put in the
Right.
effort. And when people see you, for example, and they'll say, "Man, you're just taking drugs," and I'm like, "No, you guys don't realize how long I've been at this."
Right. Yeah.
So when you find that out, like, and then almost to them, it's like daunting. Like, damn, it takes that long. How can I shorten the time frame?
Shortcut. Find the shortcut quick.
Like,
Yeah. I heard a doctor say once, the whole goal of health should not be to fit in a smaller coffin.
mm,
I like that quote. I also, I'm not sure if I didn't mean to say, but the two words that I cannot stand is try is one of them and should. Try and should. And I had the same a similar example where I've heard someone would say like something. I was in a crowd at like a Tony Robbins event, and they were this lady was like standing next to a chair, and Tony Robbins was like, try to pick up the chair, and then she did it. He's like, no, 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 you're doing it. Stop doing it. Don't try to pick up the chair. Then she did it. And he's like, no, you're not doing anything. You're not doing anything. Try to pick. So he was just showing your point. It's like you can't try. You and a lot of times, like you said, if you say you're gonna try something, you're almost setting yourself up for that failure of it being like, yeah, well, I tried. Like, yeah,
right.
well, I did this type of workout, this type of nutrition plan. Well, how long did you do it? Well, a couple weeks. What? That's not long enough. Um, so I'm curious, talking about food, do you have a favorite treat meal or one of uh, bagels? I know I saw your social media post a long time ago. Do my yeah, like a bagel in there. Uh, what's one of your favorite treat meals
Huh. I think it's awesome that you said treat meal.
and not cheat meal?
Yeah,
Yeah,
is
thank
your
you.
home because you know it's so crazy how that terminology came up. But yeah, man, it's treat meal. For me, it's gonna be something sweet
Hmm.
because I have a liking to sugar, and I know that to certain people, like, oh my gosh, you eat sugar? I can't
What?
believe
You're
you eat
not
sugar.
perfect.
Right. I love to eat, I always say I like to make it simple, but it could be just about anything that's sweet, And I know when I go to LA has so many choice places to go to
Hmm.
that, I think the last time I went to this place called Magpie. I don't know if you ever heard of that.
I've heard of it. I've never been.
So it's Magpie. It's like soft serve, and they have all these different things. Man, it was so good,
Hmm.
so good. So something like that, or a big old bear claw from this place in Las Vegas called Ronald's Donuts.
Oh
It was
man,
so good, dude.
I
So
love. I actually. Um, I love donuts. I don't have them that often, but I really love them. We Christmas time. I wanted to make them for Christmas morning. I wanted to like legit make from scratch donut.
wow.
It was so good. I could not believe it actually looked like a donut, and I was like, "There's no way it's gonna taste like a donut." Because like this is insane that we made that, and it was really probably my favorite donut ever made. Um,
Interesting.
yeah, yeah,
That's
it's
cool
also.
because that's cool. Go ahead. Also, what?
Um, I haven't been a big ice cream person my whole life until this lifestyle, and I found this because when I go get ice cream, obviously it's trickier when you go out to get ice cream. But when I do, I went to this one place in Austin. They have like a couple of flavors in the corner that are non-dairy, and it was like beet and mint. And I was like, I love beets. So I'll give that a shot. And I was like, oh my god, this is the best. Oh my god! Every time we're in the area, I'm like, we gotta go get some beet mint ice cream because it just it has a hint of that, obviously the beet flavor, but it's just not enough to make you think you're eating like a vegetable, right?
Yeah, that's
Oh
weird.
god, it's so good.
I would have to taste it for myself and you see, because we understand the lifestyle more,
Mhm.
someone else would be like, beet ice cream. Ew. I mean, that was kind of my first thought process. But I was like, I give it a shot because I'm so open to tasting different things and doing that because you don't know how it will taste on that palate of yours
Uh-huh.
unless you give it that shot, because people don't do that. They're just like, I'm not doing nothing because
Oh yeah.
there's so many
They
people that don't do that.
they're not really they don't like to explore flavors,
Right.
and I'm definitely down with exploring way more. I was the pickiest eater growing up. I swear, if I didn't, I mean, fortunately for me, I loved peanut butter jelly and peanut butter banana sandwiches. I think that
Eh,
probably saved my
oh,
life because Tori, I didn't drink water as a kid. I don't know how I'm alive. I didn't drink water. It wasn't really like, oh, do you want milk, water, or soda? I'm like, well, soda. Drink soda. The occasional chocolate milk. It's like I didn't have fiber. I thought it was normal to like poop every 3 days or something. It's like it was so bad. But if I didn't have peanut butter banana, that was probably like the mecca of my diet. Uh, Peanut butter banana and plain pasta.
I was very similar. Peanut butter and honey. My mom used to raise me on that.
Mm,
I did peanut butter and honey for I could live. I could have that all day.
yeah,
You know, and the difference with us is we did have water. We drank water pretty much all the time. So I never was into soda and all those things. And
that's
it's
great.
even now when I see kids drinking soda at 5 years old,
Hmm.
I like sugar, but damn, you know, you are really setting precedence with that sugar addiction, boy. Because
Yeah, yeah. The my daughter, she'll see someone drink soda, and she's like, I gotta go tell them. and she and she'll like she sees because I don't they'll have like treats like M and M's and things like that, and she's like, oh, you can't have the red ones, guys. Red 40 is in that, and so she's so funny.
How old
If
is she?
I she's gonna turn 6
Yeah,
on Tuesday.
nice.
She uh she's been it was so amazing because my wife she basically was plant based during her pregnancy, and that's all basically my daughter just loves fruits and vegetables and beans. If you said I will make you any dinner right now, what do you want? She's like, oh, I want avocado, beans, and sweet potatoes. Like that's what she wants. That's her jam. That's her favorite dinner.
Wow.
And she's just God, I'm just it's amazing. It's amazing, amazing, amazing.
Yeah,
So
that's good because my son, he's 14 and he's vegetarian. And, he always says something about, I want to go vegan, Dad. And I'm like, stop telling me that because, I'm going to hold you to it.
uh-huh.
Like, yeah, you're right. And so because I don't pressure him to do it, even though, you get around other quote unquote vegans. And I used to be worried about what they would think. But now I'm like, whatever. And
Right,
they're like, oh, you vegan too? I'm like, no. And they're like, oh, and I'm like, I let him be his own person
right.
because most of the population wasn't born to just eat fruits and veggies. They came into this lifestyle 4 years ago, 3 years ago, 2 years ago, 6 years ago, and you're not holier than thou now because you have seen the light. To pass judgment on someone else who has been doing this 5 times as long as you have, but has come into more understanding and wisdom about the lifestyle and not have to feel the need to
Yep.
pressure do it.
Yeah. Passing judgment today is crazy. Everyone's just just constantly judging. And it's like, this is a bit much. I actually get so I go through sometimes I go through phases on social media. I'm like, I'm just gonna take a break for like a weekend or a week because I just can't handle it. I try just to let it go. Then sometimes I get wrapped up and whatever. But anyway, so what do you got going on next, man? I know you have your own kind of nutrition. You have coaching, you have private coaching, you have kind of a nutrition thing, and a muscle building on your website. A program people can go check out, and I'll put the link to that in the show notes as well.
I honestly, I don't know because things just changing. They change because I was very hesitant about putting out the ebooks. I need to create some more because I was the hesitancy, the hesitation came from not being there to watch the person reenact the videos that I put on there because you're hoping that these people can understand and do it right because I'm very particular about form and biomechanics and proper execution. I know I'm just making a different giving you different definitions, but I'm so its form is important. And then of course the critics are gonna critique like what is this stuff? What does he create here? What is this? And all of that got into my head about creating a program. And so
Hmm.
I did it, and it's been pretty successful, and it's still going. And I was traveling the world and speaking and talking about my lifestyle and spreading the compassion and awareness in a way that is different than from what someone else is doing. And now, then I was able to work with Chris Hemsworth, who honestly was somebody I didn't really know who he was until I actually had to think Thor. Oh yeah, and meeting him and meeting other celebrities and working with people and training very people who are in a position to where things are different for them because they're not considered normal like your average Joe. They can do well more, and just life changing so much that I honestly am not sure. I would love to be in a movie. I mean, I'm in a documentary. That was amazing. to be part of a documentary. So I was on
Hmm.
film for something like that. And I mean, I don't know. I would love to. I've been wanted to do a retreat prior to all of this happening because I know that's like the next level to speaking in front of an audience is having a retreat where people can come directly to you and be with you for 3 4 days and experience how you see things and kind of understanding from your point of view, your perspective, because that's the thing I think we forget is everybody has their own perspective. That doesn't mean that
Hmm.
theirs is wrong and mine is right, or theirs is right and mine is wrong. It's our different perspective because we all, as adults, we are all just the fruit of the lifestyle that preceded us to that point. So
Hmm.
whatever type of trauma we've gone through, it now has transpired into this lifestyle we lead. So we can look back at our past and make amends and forgive and understand where we came from, so that way we can be better stewards going forward. So it's kind of like I'm also working on just healing, becoming a better person, understanding my past. And, we tend to cover up things in our past that we never thought affected us because it almost manifests itself in how we respond to things because we didn't see, okay, my response or my reaction, where did that stem from? Did that stem from something in my past that I don't remember?
Hmm.
And it's not that it wasn't there, it's just maybe a thought process that we pressed or pushed away because we didn't like the reaction we got to that. So as far as moving forward, man, I'm just going forward, learning more and being better at stilling them, being of still mind. Working on more meditation and just making myself better because I feel like if I'm better, I can be better for humanity. You know what I mean? So
Yeah, that's awesome. There's a lot. It's actually a lot on the plate in the future. I mean,
I know.
the this I've been reading two books, Power of Now, kind of that still mind and and kind of consciousness and practicing that. I'm doing meditation myself, and I've also been reading this book the last couple of years. You Can Heal Your Life, or yeah, Heal Your Life by Louise Hay. It's everything you're talking about, where I would look back at my past and either blame something, you wish I should have done something different, and I don't like the word should, that judgment of my past. But honestly, all people tend to blame the bad stuff and not the good stuff. They say, oh man, all the bad stuff I wish I could change, all the good stuff I'll keep. Like, no, 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 the bad stuff and the good stuff, everything is how I got here right now in this moment talking to you, right? Everything. And so I got to be grateful for all that stuff, like, right? And then I was learning about EMDR therapy. I don't even know what it stands for anymore, but it's the EMDR therapy.
I hear you. I've heard it. So I've been hearing it lately, and I still don't even know. I was just about to ask you, like, what? Because I mean,
Something moving. Basically, like it's for PTSD or anxiety, or if you have a certain emotion around a memory or a thing that happened. And so I did it, and it did exactly what you said. It's like I was. That's weird. You find out that there's a reason that you feel a certain way, like in the past, and it's kind of how you react to all these other things, and it takes you back to a memory where like the youngest better, and basically when you fix it with EMDR therapy, it's like dominoes and how it like fixes all these other sort of perceptions you had, and it keeps going until now that doesn't you don't react the same way anymore. Super wild. I actually think it's like magic, like actual magic. Because I think I did 3 sessions, each of a different memory,
right.
and it was just boom, just crazy. How it just connected. Like I remember as a kid, it was like I got scared of snakes really bad, and that was a thing. and how it connected to other fears. And it's like, whoa, now I'm cool with snakes. And
Right.
I'm like, that's weird. So yeah, check that out. That's EMDR therapy is really, really wild. Um, yeah, and it doesn't even feel like you're doing anything because the lady I had, like, she's like reading like these questions on a piece of paper, and she's like, say, follow my finger, and she's doing this thing. It's something to do with eye movement, something, something. Um,
Okay.
and I'm like, this is not gonna work. This is
Right.
what am I
Right.
doing? This is bogus. And then it's like, whoa, this is crazy. I'm gonna go back. Cool, man. Well, it's been awesome chatting with you.
Same.
I will let you know when this goes live. Sometime in actually June, I believe.
Okay.
Because I have some episodes. I just do weekly episodes. But
Right.
thank you so much, Tori.
No, I appreciate it, man, and I appreciate you taking the time out to, even because I told you, I get when I get these, sometimes I have to be in that space, like, all right, because I know I have a lot of things going on, and then you get to a point you're like, I just want to relax,
Hmm.
and but then when I start to do these, I enjoy it. I enjoy talking to individuals and getting to know a bit about them and sharing my journey with their audience. So I appreciate you taking the time to have me on. I'm grateful to be on here. So I appreciate you. Thank you very much.
Awesome. Thanks, man.
You
Take care.
have a
Have a
good
good.
one, brother.
You too.
Hey everyone, today's episode is brought to you by Vivo Life. Now we all know how important protein is to maintain an optimal diet. And me, I'm a busy dad of two little kids, and as much as I want to get all of my nutrients from Whole Foods, sometimes I just can't manage to make that happen. And I absolutely need the best quality foods so I can recover from my workouts and sustain my energy so I can show up and be the dad that I want to be. And that's why over the years I was on a quest to find the healthiest and cleanest protein powder that I can use after my workouts. So what I do is I mix a scoop of Vivo Life Perform in with my post-workout recovery meal, which is oatmeal, blueberries, flaxseed, and it tastes amazing. I love it. So not only does Vivo meet the criteria I need, it also is environmentally friendly as well. It's 100% plant-based protein, and the flavor is extremely smooth compared to other protein powders I've tried out there. Part of the reason is they use fermented protein, which is the healthiest protein that you can have for your digestive system, especially mine. On top of that, it has amazing ingredients like turmeric, ginger, and reishi mushrooms. What's so freaking awesome is that Vivo Life stands behind their product, and if you don't feel the difference in 30 days, they give you a full refund, no questions asked. So I get it. We're all unique. We're all different. We have different preferences. You be the judge yourself. Go to vivolife.com and at the checkout, use the coupon code PERFECT10 for 10% off your first order. And by the way, my favorite flavor is the banana and cinnamon.